What's up, guys? It's Fight Nerd, and I'm back with another video. Wow. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, subscribe. It always keeps me motivated to keep bringing you guys videos. Let's get into it, man. We know the big night tonight. What can I say? It was a great fight card. Um, Unfortunately, I missed the first half of the Rayo Valenzuela Colbert fight. I saw from the round 5 to round 10. What I saw from those rounds, it was a lot of back and forth action, which was crazy. I mean, like I said, I didn't see the first half, so I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that one. I saw a lot of back and forth action. It was like 1 minute Valenzuela was doing good, and it looked like Colbert had no answers, and then Colbert would come back and put on his show with Valenzuela. But I did hear the reaction of the crowd. Rayo looked pretty upset. You can't blame any fighter for being upset. If it was bad judges, bad calls, I feel for him. Like I said, I didn't watch the first half of the fight. I'm gonna have to go back and try to rewatch that one. What I did see from the round 5 to round 10, I was surprised at both of them. There was times where Rayo was just letting off a lot of shots, and then Colbert would come back with his shots. And just from that second half, it was very interesting. I respect Colbert for saying, let's run it back. If he feels like he escaped with one there, of course he's gonna say that, you know what I mean? But you gotta respect him nonetheless. I think he conducted himself like a gentleman all throughout the weigh-ins, the press conferences, the post-fight, everything, considering. The other fight with my boy, Joey Spencer, man, I was so, what can I say, man? I'm team Joey Spencer all day, I had high hopes for him coming into this fight, man. Jesus Ramos, he just had one of those nights where, I don't want to take nothing away from Spencer, because, like I said, I'm team Spencer all day, but I have to call it how I see it. It's just like, I don't know, when, when you have a basketball team that they just have one of those nights where they hit all their shots. You put the video game on easy when you're playing fight night, and you're playing somebody that really don't know the game in fight night, and you can't do nothing wrong, whatever, the case may be. Hats off to Jesus Valenzuela, man. He had a great night. I didn't know too much about Jesus Valenzuela going into the fight. I just assumed, I made a lot of assumptions about him. Maybe they're just, I don't know this guy. Maybe they're just throwing a Spencer a fight for him to look good. No, it was everything but that. Spencer took on a tough challenge. You can't fault him for that. You dare to be great, you have to take risk. And unfortunately, these things happen in the sport of boxing. The show that Jesus Ramos put on tonight was amazing. He used his jab well, hitting from different angles very well. In the beginning of the fight, I think I didn't understand very early on Joey Spencer's game plan. He went right to Ramos to try to smother him. I don't know if he was trying to impose his strength or get a feel for Ramos's strength. But that's not normally the way he fights. I would have liked for Spencer to be a little more patient. You know, get a feel for him, try to box him a little bit. I don't know. I would assume that, Spencer believes in his boxing ability. You want to give that a chance. I don't know. I like I said, I didn't understand the game plan right from the start of the bell in round 1. He went right to him and tried to smother Ramos. It was so out of character for him, especially being the smaller guy going up in weight. Probably, I don't know, I don't want to say the lesser experience because they're both, coming up in the sport. I don't know enough, like I said, about Jesus Ramos's career. I didn't know much about him. So for Spencer to call him out, it was a tall order, and it was a bit, I think not a bit too much, it was way too much. But I don't take nothing away from Spencer. He showed heart in there when even throughout that whole fight, he was being dominated, but he held his own until the very last second that his dad threw in the towel. He stood his ground like a champion, like a warrior, and I gotta respect him for that. But tonight was not his night. He got dominated in every sense of the word. I think Jesus Ramos's performance, man, he deserves all the credit, and I'm Team Spencer all day, but I have to give him his credit. So, let's get into it, man. The main event, Benavidez versus Plant. I was so excited for this event, for this matchup. What can I say, man? I feel like this almost went exactly the way I thought it was gonna go, with the exception of a few things. I was really surprised as the first half of the fight. I want to say like the first 7 rounds, 6-7 rounds, I felt like Plant was pretty dominant. He was boxing well. He was using his jab very well. That stab jab, I don't know, that he has this kind of stab jab to the body that he uses very well. He seemed to, he was really frustrating Benavidez. There was he was making Benavidez miss shots bad. Benavidez was hitting air a lot of the night. It was hard for Benavidez to get any momentum because Plant would tie him up really, really quick, which I thought was a smart move, strategically on Plant's part, considering that Benavidez needs combinations to get going, So I thought that was a brilliant strategy. However, I don't know if it was late in the 7th, but like the 8th round, man, Benavidez just turned up the heat and slowly started getting momentum. And I said this in a previous video. Plant had to be cautious with Benavidez in the second half of the fight, because Benavidez is known to get a second wind. I've never seen him gas, like I said. I was kind of like astonished in this fight. Benavidez was hitting air. He couldn't get anything going. He looked frustrated. But once he started to do a little bit better job of cutting off the ring, which allowed him to let off more shots to the body. Another thing, he started to land the uppercuts on the inside. I think that helped him. He should have done that a lot earlier in the fight, but wow, man. He turned it up to the 8th round, and after that he turned up the heat, and I was really surprised, because like I said, the first half of the fight he couldn't get anything going. He was hitting air. Plant was boxing beautifully, using the jab beautifully. His ring movement, he was just doing everything to perfection, man. Everything. And he just faded late. He did this in the Canelo fight. It's kind of seeming like a pattern now. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was right within Caleb Plant's grasp. Everything was going well for him early. Benavidez, man, watching him tonight was a little bit frustrating. I was a little bit frustrated. It was like right when they would tie up, he would break him up. He didn't give Benavidez a chance to fight out of the clinches. Not even a little bit, And I think Benavidez had to, like he said, I had to accept it and find a way to work around it. He didn't give Plant any warnings for holding nothing, man. I feel like Plant had this right within his grasp, but the second half of the fight, man, Benavidez put his foot on the gas. And I don't know if that was strategic. I felt like Caleb Plant was doing everything right during the first half of the fight, and I was like so curious to see how is the second half of the fight gonna unfold. What's what adjustments is Benavidez gonna make? Because he looked like his feet were stuck in cement. He was hitting air. He couldn't get anything off, and he was looking really frustrated for a while there. And it looked like everything was working against him. But, like I said, he started to fight harder in the clinches, letting off uppercuts. And I don't know, maybe that's what took, a lot of endurance out of Plant in those clinches when I would feel like Benavidez got tired of it, if Benavidez wasn't gonna do nothing, fight out of it while I can before we get broken up, Maybe it took a lot of energy for Plant to continue with the clinches throughout the fight. Benavidez is a pretty big guy, It's just a shock to me. I feel like he was doing everything right in the beginning. Boxing beautifully, landing all his shots, making Benavidez miss. Anytime Benavidez did try to get something going, Caleb Plant would tie him up. I saw a lot of holes in Benavidez in his game tonight, despite the win that he got over Caleb Plant tonight. Well deserved. My hat's off to him. I don't want to take anything away from him. But looking at the fight and the moments that Caleb Plant did have, it makes me wonder, like, what would Canelo do to him? You know, but we don't know. Styles make fights, so we don't know. Um, I have to say, I'm shocked again. I said this in the Canelo fight with Plant. He did good. I expected, like, in the Canelo fight, I expected Canelo to have some problems with him. I expected Plant to do good. However, Plant did better in the Canelo fight than I expected, and I can say the same for his fight here with Benavidez tonight. Benavidez missed a lot. I think, despite all the frustrations that Caleb Plant caused for him, missing a lot of the shots early in the fight, he was being outboxed, but again, I think Benavidez knew that in the power department for Plant, he didn't have nothing to worry about, so just be patient, bide your time, let him, waste his energy. When he started to fight harder on the inside, he wasn't doing that in the beginning, Benavidez. And man, like the last round where Plant, he never gave up, Yeah, he faded late in the rounds, but he still kept giving it his all, trying to let off combinations back to Benavidez, because we know late as the fight went on in the second half, Benavidez was able to start letting off the combinations, and that made a big difference. We know that that's Benavidez's bread and butter. He's a combination puncher. I don't think he's a hard puncher, as they try to make him out to be, but he's, when he gets that mortar going, that's when he's at his best. And as the fight went on, that's what he started to do, landing the uppercuts on the inside. He wasn't doing that. He would get clinched, and I'm thinking, man, why don't you're straightforward, and you're making it easy for Plant to clinch you. If you were throwing those uppercuts, he'd have to be a little more mindful about doing that, but like what I was saying was, Plant, despite him fading in the later rounds, he kept giving it his all. He tried to throw combos back to Benavidez to answer some of the combos that, Benavidez was throwing. He gave it his best. I don't take nothing away from Plant. And the respect that they showed each other at the end of the fight was, I gotta respect them both, But I don't want to, see Plant keep taking these kinds of losses. Look, there's no shame in losing to Canelo and Benavidez, the boogeymans in the division, right? There's no shame in that. But for as good as he is, and I think he's a very good boxer, to be able to give Canelo problems like that, to be able to have a good night against Benavidez for the time that he did, I know it didn't go his way. He didn't get the result he wanted. Benavidez, that's just it. I was shocked, I was more shocked at least in my opinion. Like I said, I feel like he dominated at least the first 7 rounds of the fight. I could maybe give Benavidez one of those rounds of the first 7, but Benavidez turned it up. When he needed to turn up the heat, he did it. He did what he had to do. He didn't stay in that frustrated place. He didn't let Kenny Bayless get to him. I felt so bad for him as far as like Kenny Bayless. If you're fighting a mover like Plant or Mayweather, and then you got Kenny Bayless on your side, that's the kind of ref you want for those styles of fighters, right? I felt bad for Benavidez. Oh my man. I felt like he was a little hard on Benavidez, Kenny Bayless, man. He didn't give Benavidez a chance to fight out of those clinches that Plant was doing to him, and it was a brilliant strategy by Plant. You know, it seemed to really frustrate him early in the fight. But man, Benavidez, like I said, when it was time for him to turn up the heat, he did what he had to do. He started to let off his combos more and more, cutting off the ring. And it was like a recipe for disaster, you know, like Plant started to fade, Benavidez started to turn up the heat. That's the thing, you know, Plant did well with his strategy, but he didn't take enough out of Benavidez. Yeah, you were outboxing him, you were clinching him, you were frustrating him, but you didn't take enough out of him. So when that second half of the fight came along, he still had a lot left. I think he used a lot of energy for the strategy that he tried to implement. And yeah, you can't take nothing away from Benavidez. So I have to eat my crow on this one. I did pick Plant for the upset. And yeah, my hat's off to Benavidez, man. He did great. I felt like, as you know, the fight was going on, round 1, round 2, 3, 4, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, he can't get anything going, you know, like he's having a hard time landing shots. He's not going to the body. When Plant is clinching him, he can't really do anything there. It was like nothing could go his way, you know. And I don't know what happened from the 8th round on. He turned up the heat in the kitchen, put his foot on the gas, however you want to describe it, man. And he did what he had to do to get the win. I respect both of them. I don't take anything away from Plant. I thought he boxed brilliantly early on. Tying him up, all the movement and everything was a brilliant strategy. But if you're gonna fight that strategy against a bigger guy like Benavidez, or a guy that has lots of stamina like Benavidez, you better be sure to be taking out something out of him along the way, because if you're doing all this, you're using all your gas in the tank, and you're not really taking anything out of Benavidez's tank. That is just, you know, how do I say this? Like, I feel like Caleb Plant was the victim of his own success because he didn't do enough to take anything out of Benavidez. And yeah, you were outboxing him. You were probably winning on points, but you didn't really do anything to rattle him. I felt like, and as the fight went on, once you realize, you know, that's a big thing in combat sports. When somebody, no matter how good you're doing against someone, when they're not fazed by your power, you have to be really mindful of your approach to your opponent, your strategy, and everything. You know, because when you hit someone with your best shot, and you know it didn't faze them, that affects a fighter. You know, it doesn't matter you're boxing beautifully, winning on points. Somebody like Benavidez, just looking for the kill, But like I said, I don't feel like he's this hard puncher like the fans want to make him out to be. He's a good high endurance fighter, high volume puncher. I saw a lot of holes in his game tonight, but not to take nothing away from him. Plant is a good boxer. He can make a lot of boxers look bad at times. But he did what he had to do when he had to turn it up. And he did that. So my hat's off to him. I don't know. That's all I got for now, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. What did you think of the undercard fights? Raul Valenzuela, Colbert, my boy Joey Spencer getting dominated, and Benavidez getting the unanimous decision win. My hat's off to everybody. It was a great fight card. I wish we could have more great fight cards like this, But it was a great night, man. Respect to Caleb Plant. He gave it his best. Respect to Benavidez. I feel like he deserved that win. And yeah, so I'm off to the next one, guys.